Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. We are live. You are in J Good Village. See that at the bottom of Free Community, where we teach anyone, and we mean anyone, to the basics of how to travel anywhere in the world for free. Yay. Hi, Joel.
Hey, Mia, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. The 23 and me. That's what we're calling this year. All right. 23 and travel. So this is exciting. We haven't gone live in a while. So I'm pretty excited to
Yeah.
hear what you have to say today.
Yeah, we took a couple of weeks off. Staff, half of more than a downside of having a travel company is most of our staff travels a lot. So we just took this holiday season off for the end of the year, and here we are again. So thanks everyone for joining us.
We wouldn't be walking the talk if we weren't traveling. So that's what we have to say. So a little bit of housekeeping here. So we are going live through StreamYard. So we would love to see your name and your face show up in the comments. Like, let's say Brooke, who's here. Hi, Brooke. Anthony's here. So if you could go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, you can give them permission. And that's just so we can see your name and your face. So that is what we're going to be doing today. So we would like to hear who you are. Obviously, we'll see who it is and where you're from. Right, Joel?
Yeah, we always love. We're going to do a couple live demos today. So whoever we have the most of, if you're from, LA area or from Denver area or whatever, chime in. We're going to do a couple live demos and we'll pick your area to play with. I'm finding some good travel deals.
Yeah, which is fun to do too. We've done this before, so the interactive part is going to really kick off your 2023. So we've got Massachusetts, LA, Portland, yay. All right, so Brooke from above is here in the background, so she'll be also keeping an eye on who we get the most comments from too. So I love this title, Be Brave Enough to Suck at Something New. You always keep it real.
This was something that I just stumbled across, of course, in social media. A lifestyle coach had that up on their wall, and I loved it. And it kind of inspired this. It inspired me to kind of look back at when I thought I was really good at points and I was terrible at points. I just happened to spend a lot of money and earn a lot of points. But it wasn't until over a decade later that I realized how bad I sucked at redeeming points and how much that had cost me. It had cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it wasn't until I learned that my travel really, really improved. Traveled more often, but more importantly, I was able to start traveling in business and first class for less money and less points than I was redeeming over a decade earlier. So we're going to use my stupidity as an example so that hopefully other people can kind of not take 10 or 15 years to get better at it and then look back and have points flash before their eyes, realizing how much they wasted. Because it's not that hard. The hardest part is trying to think about the way you've always traveled and apply that to the Jagut way of travel. If you just forget that, it's shockingly easy. So hopefully we can show how easy it is by just making some adjustments to how you spend money, how you redeem points, and how you avoid being dependent on points. A lot of people are far too dependent on points, and they brag about never having paid for travel in years. In my opinion, if you haven't paid for travel for years, you're doing it wrong and you're wasting way too many points.
Ooh, those are fighting words. I like it. Listen, take advantage of learning from other people's mistakes, folks. That's a great way to learn. Definitely. Half of the things that we learn in here are mistakes or victories that we have from J-Group members, which is great.
Yeah. Well, and again, when I say that, it's not necessarily fighting words with other people. It's fighting words with the stubborn, arrogant Joel of 2004. That's when I started booking my first free flights. I owned a real estate company. Starting in 2004, I had over a dozen agents. I built it over a 70-person company. I was spending high 6 figures, low 7 figures per month on credit cards. So I was earning million and a half points, sometimes 2 million points per year. And I thought I was a badass with $10,000 or $20,000 in free travel.
Sure.
But $10,000 or $20,000 in free travel with 1 million or 2 million points sucks. That's nothing. compared to once you learn how to spend those points wisely. And more importantly, how not to waste them, because there are plenty of opportunities where you're completely wasting points. So it's very important to know those differences, and we'll talk about that today.
Well, I love it. Thanks. That's a good pep talk to get us started.
All right. So we'll let you guys in the background decide what our most popular areas are, and we'll come back to that later for a couple live demos. So I keep this around for posterity. It is still active, but I don't use it at all. But when I talk about, earning 1 million or 2 million points, it was 1 million or 2 million Frontier points.
Did you blow the dust off that?
Fortunately, it gets plenty of use showing people what card not to get. So I get to blow off the dust every time. And again, it was easily a decade where I thought I was a badass because, it earned 2 points per dollar. I had the expensive one for, I don't know, $200 a year, and it earned 2 points per dollar on everything instead of just one. And that sounded great because if I spent $700,000 in a year, I got 1.4 million points. And that, at the time with Frontier, was worth 14 grand. I mean, that's nice, but A, I was flying Frontier in coach, and B, it's nowhere near as much as what I'm able to do with the same amount of points, if not less now, and fly in business or first class and stay in 4 or 5 star resorts, all from subtle changes. So I say no more half-ass use of my chase points. And I say this because it is just so frustrating when people just think, oh yeah, I've got the point things figured out, just like I did. And usually what people mean by that is they earn a lot of points, and they do that through juggling lots of cards with sign-up bonuses, or they do it through brute force, through spending a lot of money. They own a business, they might spend high 5s, low 6 figures per month. And I talk to people all the time that do that, but they're in the same position I was 20 years ago because they earn a lot of points through just sheer spending, but then they redeem them through the Chase portal for a penny and a half. They get baited by, Chase's little statement that says, oh, your 211,000 points are worth $3,100. Yeah, if you're lazy. If you half-ass redeem your points, Chase makes it extremely easy to do that. Why? Because they're the fox guarding the hen house. They want those points back. Why? So that they can market and get more customers and say, ooh, join, get our credit card and get 50,000 points. Get our credit card and get 100,000 points. By doing that, they don't have to pay the airlines hundreds of millions of dollars for billions of points to get new customers. They get to recycle those points by giving you pennies on the dollar for them. So what I learned, and what I've been kicking myself for the past 5 years since, is never, ever, ever spend money with the credit card company. So all of these red or yellow X's are the places where it's easy to push a button and get free money. And they make it sound like a great deal. They make it seem like 200,000 points, that's $3,000 in free money. We talk to people who have 1 million points and they're like, I know what I'm doing. I haven't paid for stuff on Amazon. And, they think $15,000 with Amazon is a lot of money. It's not. That's bare bones minimum of what you can get. And the one secret spot is right here, this transfer to travel partners. That's pretty much the only place you want to spend your points. And if there's one thing we could say, a lot of people say, oh, you guys talk way too much. Yeah, we got a 50,000 person group, lots of questions. We tend to have to talk a lot to answer those questions. But if there's one thing you could do right now, it would be to stop watching and vow to never redeem your points except through transfer partners.
Right.
The easiest way, and Chase makes it hard to get to. If you go to chase.com and log into your account, they'll show you how to spend points with them. They don't show you Ultimate Rewards. You have to go to ultimaterewards.com and log in to find these transfer partners. So remember, don't spend the money with the fox who is guarding the hen house. Get them out of your Chase account. Get them out of your Amex account. Get them out of your Capital One account if you have Capital One points. We'll talk about that. Spend them
Definitely.
with transfer partners.
Yeah, definitely an instance of when free can actually cost you, right? You're thinking, I'm getting all this stuff for free, and you could have gotten so much more value from it. That's something we really, it's a hard concept sometimes. It's hard for us to flip our heads on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard. Like, we've got a lot of members who are now on our team, and they started out going, "What?" But I've got a free iPad. I wouldn't have paid money for that iPad, but you could have had 5 times as much worth flights. So by getting that free iPad, sure, you save whatever. Let's just call it $1,000. But then you have to spend $1,000 on flights because you ran out of points. So what if you could get $5,000 or $10,000 for that same amount of points, pay cash for the iPad, get 5 or 10 or 20 times as many points or as much flights or hotels out of the exact same amount of points? It's as simple as that. Transfer partners. We'll talk about the math and how to determine that a little later. But it really just comes down to spend the points with the airlines, spend the points directly with the hotels. Never, ever spend.
Oh, Joel, your sound just cut out. Well, while Joel is clicking back in, just to say, if you're coming in here late, you can watch the replay. You'll be able to see it as soon as we're done here. You'll hit the replay button, but you'll be able to go all the way back to the beginning as soon as we are done here. And then also, you will see we have a lot of folks that are here that are experts that are in the audience. It looks like we've got Katie is here, and Anthony's here, and Brooke. So they'll be answering questions too, even if we don't get to your questions. And Joel, can you hear me? Can I hear you now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yay.
Hopefully the sound, this is a brand new computer, so hopefully the sound's okay.
Got to work out the little kinks in it, right? But yes, as we're going along, and it looks like we have the 2 cities. Brooke from above has said that right now the most popular are, it looks like Phoenix and San Diego are our 2 destination cities. So when we're ready to do that, we've got our 2 cities.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, so let's do just kind of an example. And I recycled something from an earlier video called our Travel Slush Fund video. And it talks mostly about how to earn a lot more points and then redeem those points a lot more to basically build a free travel slush fund. And by thinking of it as a travel slush fund, you're focusing on just flights and hotels because those are the only 2 places that you can get, 3, 5, 10 times more than what the credit card company will give you. So if you haven't seen that, we'll dive a little more into it. Just text Travel Slush Fund to our support number, 720-706-7999. You'll get, that's our support line. Our coaches send our free reports that way. That's your line of communication with our coaches who are there to help with all of the free resources that we have, much like these Monday webinars. So now, why do we say to start with Chase? And the biggest reason is they are the easiest to get started. So a lot of people are very married to the credit card they've had in their wallet for years. And they're very comfortable with it. And it's very normal to say, well, does this work with my Frontier card? Or does this work with my Marriott card? Or I've got 1 million Hilton points. Does this work with that? And the fact is, it doesn't. Chase and Amex are the 2 biggest credit card companies that have the most places to get earning multipliers and the most places to get redemption multipliers. And when you pair those 2 together, it is extremely powerful. And so there are multiple reasons we recommend starting with Chase. The biggest is it's the easiest to find great deals. It's the easiest to take 100,000 Chase points, which isn't a lot once you learn how to collect points, and take it instead of getting $1,200 that Chase will give you, you can turn that into $3, $5, $7,000 pretty easily by just knowing to transfer and knowing where to transfer. And Hyatt hotels and United Airlines there are plenty of other places to transfer, but those are great places where it's kind of a no-brainer. It's pretty easy to get double or triple or quintuple the value that Chase will give you. So that's one of the biggest reasons that we talk about starting with Chase. The other biggest reason is Chase is a very jealous credit card company. They're the only ones that have something called the 524 rule. And what that means is if you go and get other competitors' cards, they will take one away that they will give to you. So a lot of people get excited about this hobby. They run out and get a bunch of new cards and they say, oh, I've got like 250,000 points from signing up from 5 different cards. Well, first of all, they've got what we call a yard sale of points that are spread out all over the place and really hard to manage. And second of all, they just took away 5 Chase cards, and Chase won't give you any more cards. So you can always start with Chase, get your feet wet, get a taste of doubling or tripling or quintupling the value of your points. And then as you get better, you can expand into other things. And so I also just kind of recycled a demo we did in our Slush Fund video. This is Park Hyatt. A couple people stayed here a couple days ago at Park Hyatt, a very exclusive hotel in New York. And the market price for that room was $3,800 a night.
Oof. Goodness.
And they booked that for 45,000 points. Now, some people might say that's a lot of points, and it's all perspective. It's all relative. That is a lot of points, and you could get 9 nights at a cheap budget hotel, or you can splurge and treat yourself to a $4,000 room in New York for New Year's Eve. So it's, this is just an example of value and how easy it is to find. If you could use points to redeem that hotel through the Chase portal, and that would cost you 3 million points.
Oof,
it costs you 3 million points to redeem those for that hotel through the Chase portal by simply transferring to Hyatt. So you do the research on Hyatt, you find a good value, you say, oh, that's a good deal. And remember, good deals are relative. It comes down to cents per point. You see a good deal, you transfer the points, and you get, instead of 200,000 points getting the 3,100 that Chase would give you, you get exponentially more because it all comes down to the value per point that you're getting. It doesn't matter. I've seen terrible redemptions at $100 hotels. I've seen terrible redemptions for $5,000 flights. It's not about how expensive or how lavish the trip you're doing it is. It's how expensive it would be if you paid cash divided by the number of points required. That's what it comes down to. And you can never, ever determine if it's a good deal without doing that math first. And that's so incredibly important.
It's a great mic drop. Definitely. I think people get that backwards as well, too. And
Yeah.
I do have, we'll pull this up here, too. I know we were talking about cards. So I'll just have, you can go to jgoot.com/cards. And that's the cards that we recommend as well, too, since we've been talking about it.
Yeah. So we've talked about, we like to give away savings cards. We love participation. The more you participate, the more exposure we get on Facebook. So we like to have fun with it. So we're going to do a little drawing right now. It's a math problem. So the 211,000 points that Chase showed me were worth $31.67 if I just cashed them out for statement credits. So many people get tempted by that, and they're like, cool, a free $3,000. If I use that for 4 nights at a $3,800 luxury hotel that I would never dream of spending real money on, how much would those 211,000 points be worth? So this is a 2-part problem. You first have to determine the value of that redemption, and then you have to determine, the the cost per point, then you have to multiply that by the 200,000 points. So while we're doing that, let's just kind of talk about another challenge. So we're going to give away 2 savings cards. Actually, we'll give away infinite savings cards right now. So while we're talking about this next point, anyone, like, here's the thing. If you have a Chase card, learn how to use it, learn how to maximize the value. If you don't have the Chase card, this is the foundational card of the JGoot way of travel. You don't need to join our paid coaching program to go and get a Chase card. It takes 5 minutes to go and apply for one. So anyone who has a credit score of at least 650, who is not applying for a home loan in the next 3 or 4 months, if you're doing that, you want to talk to your mortgage broker before applying for a new card. If you responsibly spend at least $1,300 a month, remember, we don't ever want you stretching your budget and spending more than you comfortably spend. So and by responsibly spend, I mean, you normally have a credit card bill of $1,300 a month and you pay that off every month. You don't carry a balance. So if you meet those 3 things, go to jgoot.com/cards, apply for either a Chase Sapphire Preferred or a Chase Reserve. Doesn't much matter which. We recommend the Reserve if you travel more than 2 or 3 times a year, but Preferred if you travel less than that. And if you send a screenshot to Brooke, we'll send you a $100 travel savings card. So we'll bribe you to just put that card in your wallet. I know most people are married to the card. They've had it in their wallet for years, but it's not as hard as most people think. There's nothing in it for us other than getting you the foundational card that we teach our paid clients to do exponentially more with. So anyone who does that during this webinar and sends a screenshot to support@justgetoutoftown, which if you're getting any emails from us, you can just reply to that email and we'll get it. And we'll send you a $100 travel savings card.
Awesome. Hey, Joel, see if you see the answer yet, and then we'll have Brooke tell us who's the first one that answered, okay?
I do see a bunch of the right answer. Always great to see that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So let's come back to that.
We forgot to say also, the more that you answer or comment, that gives you a chance to actually win a travel savings card at the end of the show. So we're going to pick a random commenter. So, hey, you being smart and answering or just chatty could work out in your favor. How's that?
Yeah. And we love seeing that when other members are learning, members who aren't learning yet are picking up on it just from that. Yeah. I still remember some little thing they did in 4th grade that was like, if you won, you got a prize. I still remember that. I'm like, I knew that answer. So sometimes the things we miss are the best way to learn.
Yes.
So,
and as I mentioned too, we have a ton of our experts here in the audience, and they're talking to each other. So make sure if you're watching this to go back and actually look at the comments. There's a lot of great information from our experts in the audience. All right.
Yeah. And a lot of people say, how do I get started? How do I do this? How do I do that? If you're watching in this Facebook group, just scroll. There are tens of thousands of posts from a football stadium worth of members that we go to great lengths to do our best to answer all of those questions. So odds are, if you have a question, someone else has had it before you, and there's a lot you can learn just by scrolling through the feed. You've got testimonials, we've got live streams like this, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So answer, how much of those 211,000 points, instead of the $3,100 that Chase wanted to give you, by simply transferring to Hyatt, you would turn those 211,000 points into $17,860. I saw a bunch of 17,000 figures. I'm sure there's someone who's got it down to the dollar figure. Otherwise, we'll go with the closest.
Okay, and we'll have Brooke let us know. She's just checking through because we had so many, so not to worry. And as soon as we let you know, then she'll get in touch with you as well too. And then we also have here at the bottom, text your name and free guide to 720-706-7999. That has the information about the cards, a lot of what you've been talking about already, and it really is a great get started place to be.
Yeah. So that's Chase. And again, there are all sorts of other things that you can do with Chase. There are 10 or 11 airline transfer partners and so on. But the easy money is just transfer to Hyatt, not Hilton, not Marriott, not IHG, Hyatt. Hyatt, for some whatever reason, is a far better value than points. So there's a freebie from our free coaching program. Take Chase points, transfer them to Hyatt. It's the highest and best use, and more importantly, the easiest. Ironically, a lot of you who are Dave Ramsey fans, Dave Ramsey has a similar philosophy where, like common sense, a lot of people would think when you're trying to get out of debt, common sense says pay off the highest interest card first. His philosophy is pay off the card with the lowest balance first. Why? Because you get an easy win. And that easy win early on is far more motivating than slowly chinking away at like a $10,000 balance that might take forever to pay off.
Yeah.
And this is kind of similar. Get the Chase card, have a philosophy of just transfer to Hyatt. We'll go over how to know a good value. We have an entire demo on how to find a good value. That is our 2 principles guide. And that shows you how to calculate the value of points anytime you redeem them, and how to find cash deals and know just instantly whether or not you should even bother using points. Know those 2 things, and you'll be exponentially farther with all of your future redemptions.
And I have that here at the bottom. So text your name and the words 2 principles to 720-706-7999. And then also our winner, Smarty Pants, Greg Markovich. Greg with 2 G's. Way to go.
Good job, Greg. So again, when I see a mad face up there, probably because I used the word half-assed. No more half-ass use of my Amex points. That was a vow I made to myself once I learned how powerful these points actually are. And once I realized I had blown hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of points, literally on $25,000 or $30,000 in free travel. So this is a New Year's resolution. Keep collecting those points. We have other lessons on earning multipliers, how to earn more. Today is about just not wasting those hard-earned points once you get them. And with Amex, it's a little different. Amex is a more advanced card. It's more complicated. It's also more valuable than Chase, but not if you don't know how to use it. So remember, if you don't have a Chase Sapphire or a Chase Ink card in your wallet, you should get one. And by the way, don't get baited by Chase's newest Ink Premium card, premium business. They lure you in with 2.5 cents per point, but it's only 2.5 cents. You can't use transfer partners with that one card in particular.
Oh, wow. This is a great comment from Katie too. It says, listen up. It doesn't matter what bank issued your card. Chase and Amex issue tons of cards that don't earn the flexible points you need. So that's speaking to that. If you don't understand which cards can be strategized for transfer partners, please ask for the free guide, which will explain it clearly. Amen. That's perfect.
And Katie's one of our coaches. Katie is texting in or messaging in from Brazil right now.
She is.
And Katie, I hope you don't mind sharing. I'm only sharing because you've been vulnerable about this too. Katie, just like me, just like most of our members, used to be married to a certain card that only earned 1 point, or I think it might have earned 2 points per dollar. Same thing as me with my Frontier card. And she thought that was awesome because they spent a lot on their business and so on. But the thing is, those points that she was earning could not be transferred to transfer partners. So 2 cents per dollar spent is all they got, no more, no less. When you learn how to earn more points and learn how to redeem more points, you can get 10 or 20 or 50 cents of every dollar that you spend on credit cards back in your pocket in the form of free travel. So when I say no more half-assed use of Amex points, Amex makes it even easier. Amex is in cahoots with Amazon. And if you notice, if you have an Amex card and if you've ever paid with your Amex card, they then have a button and you can accidentally spend your points and get free stuff on Amazon. The problem is you don't even get a penny a point. You get like 0.8 of a point 8/10 of a cent per point. So you might get $1,000 worth of free points for, I don't know, 120,000 points, but those points could have been used for $5 or $10 or $20,000 worth of travel. So again, be careful about the fox guarding the hen house. Don't spend points with the credit card company. Spend them with the airlines or the hotels that will give you the best value.
Absolutely. Kate's here. Hi, Kate. She says, I've been married to my United card for decades, just moved everything I buy to my new Chase Sapphire Reserve. Yay, Kate. Proud of you for that breakup. Kicking that bad relationship to the curb.
And Kate has been attending a lot of these live streams. She's watched a lot of the replays that we have, and she's slowly and steadily learning. But again, the biggest and most important thing is just start with the right cards in your wallet, so you're at least accumulating the right points. You can eventually get to a point where you get better and then better and then better at redeeming them.
Yeah. Well, here's Katie saying now with Amex points, I got 5 of us to Brazil for 125,000 points. Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. And 125,000 points with like a B of A card or a Discover card or anything like that, it's $1,200.
Katie says,
that ain't even
Bank of
getting
America.
one person to Brazil.
Right. What a waste of years of my life. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a breakup.
Yep. Just because you're in a bad relationship with your credit card company doesn't mean it's time to break up.
That's right.
So again, this is beginner level stuff. Why? Because we want you to get started. Don't overthink this. So many people like way overcomplicate this and try to make the JGoot way of travel work with their Hilton card or with their Delta card or whatever card out of hundreds of other cards that are out there. And they try to make them work with the JGoot way of travel. Bottom line, it doesn't really work. Chase and Amex are the two top cards. Capital One is okay. It's a distant third. And our philosophy is, why not use the cards that are easiest to get the most value per dollar spent? And then if you ever are so fortunate as to get, $50, $60, $100,000 in a year in free travel, which is what is possible with the Chase and the Amex cards alone, then you can move on to Capital One. Then you're an advanced user who can make the most of Capital One, because like the smaller the company, the harder the smaller the network they have, the harder it is to find a good deal with their transfer partners. And as far as size of companies, there's Amex, then there's Chase, then there's Capital One, and Citi's way down there. And individual airline cards, individual hotel cards don't even hold a candle to any of the more flexible cards. If you are still loyal to your airline or hotel card, text us bad points, and we'll send you a guide that will show you how much more is possible by having a flexible credit card in your wallet, just by making that one switch.
And you can text that to 720-706-7999. And you mentioned a little bit ago about our coaching program, and that is JGoot Lounge. You've heard us talk about that before. I'll just throw that in here real quick. Guaranteed strategies to travel in luxury for budget prices. And you can get more information about that. Again, that's a free coaching call, but that is not a sales call, because we really are pretty picky about who gets into the lounge to make sure it's a fit for you and a fit for us.
Yeah, the big thing is, JGoot Village, it shows anyone and everyone how to save or add $5,000 to $10,000 to their annual travel budget, whatever that budget is. It's $5,000 or $10,000 in extra free travel funds. We do that for free because that usually involves, economy, maybe premium economy flights. It involves pretty nice 3-star, maybe low 4-star hotels. And that's easy. That's easy to do with these basic strategies. The same strategies apply for business and first class, but it's exponentially more complicated. Why? Supply and demand, plain and simple. Business and first class is not priced based on value. Finding business and first class flights is not a value decision. Airlines and hotels intentionally price those exponentially more because they only have 5 or 10% of those seats available. So it's exponentially more expensive. It does take more strategy. Joining Jagoot Lounge is not an easy button to business and first class.
Mhm.
It is a hell of a lot easier than earning the cash it would take. But,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of what we teach here, the whole goal is to teach you up to the level where we've earned your trust. You see that this works by applying the stuff that we teach for free. And if you don't worry about what we're not telling you in our paid program and just apply the basics, you will save more than the cost of our paid program. And if and when it's time to join our paid program, we've got a 6-month guarantee that you will be able to fly in business or first class before graduating our 6-month program. If interested in that, type or text interested to our support line. One of our coaches will get in touch. But just know, it's not really a sales pitch. It's to see if you are willing to get the cards that we recommend, to see if you are willing to follow the guidelines that we recommend so that we can help you. Because if you're not willing to do that, well, then it's not a fit anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And we can either give you to our free resources or send you to someone else's blog who fits more with your travel style. We've got a pretty tight-knit community in our high-level coaching program. It's all avid travelers who travel multiple times a year. They're just tired of doing it in coach, and they don't want to spend cash prices for those business and first class flights. And really, the biggest difference is there's a lot more personal support, and we want to make sure that, you know, we're not wasting our energy showing you how to, you know, take your Marriott card and do stuff that isn't possible. So enough of that. Let's get back to AMEX. The best and easiest, remember, like, you can't jump in and go and find $20,000 flights with 100,000 points without some advanced knowledge. That's like saying, hey, just give me the fast track to being fluent for my trip to Mexico next week. If you haven't taken your first 101 class, you're not going to be fluent next week, no matter what. And this is the same thing. So we want you to walk before you can run. We want you to stop settling for 2 or 3% cash back or travel benefits and get 6 or 8, and then up that to 10 or 12. These are all baby steps. And even our basic stuff will show you how to triple to quintuple the value of the points that you're currently getting. So start with Hilton, start with Marriott, start with Delta. Those are all domestic transfer partners, pretty easy to work with. They've got a lot of other international airlines, but those are a little bit more difficult. Every airline has different rules, different values for their points, and it gets a lot more difficult. But if you get your feet wet and learn how to double or triple the value of your points, then it gets addicting, then you get better at it, and then you learn how to 5x or 6x your points. So enough about that for Amex and where to spend them. The last thing I'll say to close out the points section of this discussion before we move on to the third tip is grab a screenshot of this page. We can post this image into the discussion group. This should be your Bible, your gospel, your rule of thumb, whatever you want to call it. This is so important, it's not even funny. This blue area is what I did, and I blew easily 2, if not 3 million points, thinking that, you know, a penny was all I could do. And I thought I was fancy by earning 2 cents per point, but I wasn't getting squat. What you really want to start aiming for is, you know, like you're pretty good. You're above average if you're getting 1.5 to 2.5 cents. 2.5 to 5 cents, you're getting pretty good at this. 5 to 10, over 10, those are kind of those sweet spot unicorn deals that everyone loves to brag about. Those are Mira's around the world trip, starting with a 25-cent redemption. So she used 50,000 points twice for 2 $15,000 tickets. Those are those deals that you're saving points for. So do you want to just, you know, get free stuff on Amazon or free statement credits that really only kind of reinforce irresponsible spending? Or do you want to have discipline and start to treat yourself to more luxuries than what you typically spend real money on, because points are a completely different scale than cash. It's entirely possible to find $10,000 or $20,000 flights with $500 or $1,000 worth of points. So, like I said, print this out, live by it with those points that you work so hard to obtain, and you'll never travel the same again.
It's definitely such a great scale. I think we bring this up every show now. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and this came up from someone who was excited for their first redemption, and a bunch of us were like, "Oh man, where do we go wrong?" Like this person redeemed, they booked a $250 a night hotel and they used $500 worth of points. And so like this is the new thing, was like, print this out, pay attention to this. This is extremely important. Because points can be, like I said, fox guarding the hen house. They're gonna take your points back, and they will give you 10 cents on the dollar without even batting an eye. So you have to be careful, and you have to watch out for yourself. You have to know the math. So notice that the new slide here, it's as simple as the flight cost or the hotel cost divided by the points required is the value per point. And then just remember this little temperature scale. If it's anything less than a penny and a half, 2 cents, I really say, like, if you're just starting out, just don't redeem for less than 2 cents. Keep it simple. As you get better, you can raise that bar, but that in itself will stretch your points a lot farther. So
I was going to say real quick, I think a fun little thing to do just to really start getting good with the math is just start looking through flights. And even if you're not planning on traveling, just to get yourself in the habit of really, dividing that number, just seeing, okay, this is this many points. And I think that's a great way to get into a practice of it.
Yeah.
And it's good for your aging brain, like mine.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't do a demo of this. This is one of two popular methods. The other method is the move the decimal point method. Sounds super sophisticated. You literally take 50,000 points and you drop 2 zeros off of it. So 50,000 points minus 2 zeros is 500. So 50,000 points, that gives you a baseline of, that's a bare minimum of $500 worth of points. So when Amazon says, look, your 50,000 points can get you this $400 item for free, don't do it. You're using a minimum of $500 worth of points, possibly $5,000 worth of points for $400. You're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
So cost divided by points is one method. Move the decimal point 2 points is another method. So again, here's another one. I learned this lesson after going through a divorce. After a while of, the being depressed every other week when my kids were with their mom, and then, having the kids every other week, a friend pointed out that, hey, you've got a week straight where you can go and do anything you want. You work for yourself, you take your laptop with you, go get out of town. And what I learned, thanks to his generosity in giving me a buddy pass, was that there are opportunities out there every day, all the time. Last minute, 10 months in advance, 6 months in advance, it doesn't matter. There are deals out there that no one will believe the price you paid. And we're going to go demo that right now. In where? Phoenix and
San Diego. Mm-hmm.
So this is a huge mindset thing, and it's rule number one, but I saved it for last because everyone always likes to know how to fly for free. But ironically, this is about finding cash deals that are so good you wouldn't waste your points. I've gone, my wife and I have flown to her hometown to hang out with her friends and family on what are normally $200 or $300 flights, or would normally cost 20 to 40,000 points. So remember, 20,000 points is $200 worth of points minimum. 40,000 points is $400 worth of points minimum. We've flown there for $29 round trip.
Wow.
So why would we ever waste $200 to $400 worth of points minimum on flights we can pay $29 for? That's what this tip number 3 is. It's rule one of the Jagut way, and it's really simple. Look every day. And people always say, well, I've been looking every day, but I haven't found a deal. That's not possible. The only reason you don't find a deal if you're looking every day is because you have your blinders on and you want to go to a specific place at a specific time. That's not rule one. Rule one is look every day and go where the deals are.
Mm-hmm.
That might be over spring break. We'll do a demo with that for San Diego. That might be whenever. If you have flexibility in your schedule, it might be whenever you can find even better deals. So let's go do a quick demo of that. So we let the crowd decide. And I said, we'll do spring break from San Diego. So we're working without a net here. We'll see how good a deal we can find.
I like it.
So let's, I don't know, what's spring break, like mid-March?
Yeah, like late March.
San Diego
Mid to late
to,
March, yeah.
and here's the important part, leave this area blank. Remember, this is, if cost of flights is a concern, quit painting yourself into a corner for going to spring break over, going to Cabo over spring break. Go where the deals are. Mm-hmm. Even if you have a specific schedule, you can go where the deals are. So let's just pretend spring break is...
So everybody knows we're on Google Flights right now.
Mm-hmm. And you can just, I just type in flights.google.com because I'm old school and that's what it used to be.
I like
and they
it.
redirect it.
Yep.
So March, what is it? Like late March is beginning of spring break area.
I think it's, I don't know. I don't have kids, so everybody chime in that remembers their spring break. So I think
it varies so widely
really does.
with college, which is where my kids are now. So let's just say March. Let's do a best practice. Thursday to Thursday is usually going to be better than Friday to Friday. So let's start with that. Actually, let's do Friday to Friday and then see what the difference is. So you always kind of go with your best case scenario, the optimal dates, and you do search and you let Google do the heavy lifting. So remember, the name of our company is Just Get Out of Town. This has been our principle, our founding principle for 6 years now. By just getting out of town, you will spend 70 to 90% less, plain and simple. I don't know where we're going yet, but San Diego to Vegas, it's kind of a long spring break trip. Phoenix, 157. Let's just play with the prices. Price. Let's see what we can do for under $250. That's a lot of choices. Spring break, skiing's still good in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Quick trip to Dallas, Orlando. You can. That's a little pricey for me, but
I can't see it. What's it say?
Orlando 237.
Yeah, that is a little high.
I'm not. Jagu Way, you kind of shouldn't have to spend more than $100, $150 to go.
No, and it's not because we're cheap. We just know better.
Right. Not so lucky as to find Mexico quite yet, but watch this.
Can you do a week earlier? My birthday's the 22nd. Let's plan for me.
Okay. Well, let's just compare of what we can do if we walk across the border.
Not that I'm there. Oh, that's right. Oh gosh, what a
since we live in San Diego.
Yeah.
So over spring break, when everyone else is traveling, Mexico City, $120 round trip. Cancun, $178. Puerto Escondido. There are what is that? Eight places in Mexico that you can go over spring break. What'd you say your dates were?
Let's do March 21st, and then I can be there on my birthday on the 22nd. Not that I'm going to be in San Diego, but just for giggles, let's plan it.
Okay. So $73 to Monterey, $94 to Mexico City, $88.
Wow.
So so even if like you aim for Friday to Friday over your kids' spring break, if it doesnn't work, try Thursday. If it doesn't work, try Saturday. Like these prices will change, and you can easily find extremely good values by just a couple tweaks with a
Sure.
platform that most people say, oh yeah, I know how to use Google Flights. But do you know how to use Google Anywhere, which is really where the value is? And the value comes from not painting yourself into a corner and being willing to go where the deals are. Now, can you always do that? No, but that's what points are for. And the more you do this, the more you plan your vacations around screaming deals, the less you need points, the more you let them accumulate, the less you need to go and juggle lots of credit cards because you need lots of points, because you don't need lots of points.
Yep. Hey, quick
It's a whole
question.
circular thing.
Yes. Are you browsing in incognito? Can you speak about that real quick?
I'm not, mostly because I haven't been searching.
Okay.
It's only when I'm getting to final stages do I switch to incognito, because that's when the search engines kind of start to trick you and make you think prices are going up and all that BS.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I'm not in incognito. So that's a quick example
Mhm.
of that deals with the excuse of, oh, well, I have a very strict schedule. Great. The more strict your schedule, just be more flexible on where you're willing to go. And odds are you can find a great deal. Now, ironically, Phoenix is great because Phoenix has a higher than average retiree
Mhm.
population. So we can talk about that next.
Okay.
Were there any other questions about Google Flights?
No, but I just want to point out again, I love that clarification. We talk about go, look every day, but it really is go where the deals are, which is
Yeah.
exactly what you just did with the anywhere part. And you're right. If you're saying, oh my gosh, I'm not finding the really great pricing, it's because you're looking something very specifically that definitely lowers your chances. It's the look like go where the deals are. It's really the
Yeah.
key. And it's fun.
And I mean, people, commonly say, well, I can't do that. Yeah, you can. I mean, sure, there are weddings, there are funerals, there are guys' trips, there are girls' trips. Those are all specific place, specific time. And 4 out of 5 times, those are going to be expensive and they're going to be more money than you want to pay. So use points. But if you look this way and plan your trips around deals, 4 out of 5 times will be a screaming deal that no one's going to even believe what you paid, and you can spend your money elsewhere. More trips, better travel, better accommodations, more excursions, whatever you want. It's a mindset shift, and that's it.
It
And
really is. Yeah. It's a habit to get into because there's a lot of us don't think about just kind of like, oh, that sounds kind of fun to do. We get very, very set in specific locations. So once you kind of freeing your mind up, it changes things up. But it is a mindset shift.
yeah. And I'm gonna just say this too. Like a lot of people kind of say, "Oh well, like that. This still isn't the good stuff." No, this is a vetting system to see, like, do you like this philosophy? Because our
Hmm.
paid program is just more advanced versions of this same philosophy.
Yeah.
There's no like magic bullet that all of a sudden you can magically take direct flights from Denver to Amsterdam for 32 cents. No, like it's more advanced strategies like this that work for harder to get business and first class seats. There are more advanced strategies that work for harder to get $1,500 a night luxury hotels. Um, and if that's not your gig, no problem. Take advantage of our free coaching. We're not going to sell you something that you don't desire. And like that's good for us because word gets out. Hey, like they didn't sell me their expensive coaching program. They helped me for free.
Right.
That's how we find new clients. And then if and when you decide that you want to do the exponentially more difficult part of flying in business and first class, staying in those luxury hotels, that's what our paid program is for. And really all you're paying for is personal support with these dozens of best practice tools that are more complicated, that
Hmm.
we're there to personally help. So
And
if you
oh, go ahead.
like the idea of personal help, great. That's what our paid program is for. If you're a do-it-yourself person, milk the hell out of our free stuff, apply it. It does work, and spread the word.
And you went where I was going, which was to say we are not travel planners. It's definitely
Right.
that's why it's called a coaching program, right? So
Yeah.
just to clarify that it is more work, and that's a bigger bang for your buck, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and here's something else. This is a mindset shift. This does require some momentum to build up the points. We guarantee you'll be able to do it within 6 months in our paid program, or you can figure it out on your own pace. But just know that, it does take baby steps, and our free coaching program is there for resources that you can apply to just get to the next level, whatever that is.
Yes. All right. Next up.
Let's talk about deals for our Phoenix folks.
Yep.
So, and it works out perfectly because Phoenix has a little bit more retirees. And this is Kayak Explore, kayak.com/explore. And you can just enter the airport here, or you can just bookmark like PHX, Phoenix to anywhere, and I can just quickly switch that to Phoenix. And not as cool as Google Explore, because this only does this for coach flights. So it's kind of like, this is a foot in the door for good deals. And then if you want to find business, you just, typically where there's a good coach deal, it's an inventory problem. There's usually a good business deal. But same philosophy. But notice, even if we like pick the month of, well, first of all, notice that, the cheapest we saw before was we saw like what, 6 or 7 places for $60 to $250.
Mm-hmm.
This, if you're flexible on when you go, like if you're retired, if you're self-employed, if you're an empty nester, this is like 6 or 7 times as many deals under $250.
Can you make your screen a little bit bigger, Joel? Top right. Yeah.
Zoom in maybe like that.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So notice that I scrolled down to under $100.
Wow.
That's like 3 times as many options under $100 by just being willing to go where the deal is, when the deal is available. So retirees, self-employed, empty nesters, this is fantastic. I've taken my kids on so many trips. We took an extra day off of school when they were young enough. And I mean, I traveled more often going through a divorce on a very restricted single income than we did as a double income family by just applying this one philosophy. I didn't need any points whatsoever. And again, the more stuff you do like this, the more you decide to plan a trip to San Francisco to visit the grandkids for $40 instead of paying $200, the less you need points.
Yeah.
The more you get to travel, the more spontaneous trips you go because it's cheaper than a round of frickin' drinks. Like,
yeah,
but again, you don't even realize those options exist if you're telling yourself that you're too busy to travel this way. So
you have to break the seal a little bit.
Right.
Then once you get going, you'll see that a lot in the village as well as in the lounge of people just speaking about how much more frequently they travel. It does get easier to do the more curious you become.
Mm-hmm. Let's just look for giggles. Phoenix to out of the country, $250 to Cabo.
Oh wow, look at that.
$200 to Cancun. $229 to Punta Cana. Aruba, $300. That's a little expensive when you travel the Jagut way. Honduras, $328, right on the border of Belize. 2 countries for the price of 1.
Yeah, no kidding.
So you can get almost to the equator for $300.
Wow.
And this was like, we picked this at random. And quite frankly, these are a little more expensive. When you have the habit of looking every day, you start to get pickier, and you tend to start to think like $250 to Costa Rica. I'm not paying that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you become familiar with the options available, the best 1% of options available from your hometown. And no one can do this. Well, other people can do it for you. Scott's does it. Scott's Cheap Flights does it. We do it for our coaching clients. Next Vacay, Pomelo Travel. Airfare Watchdog. There are all sorts of companies that do this for you, but the key is, and I responded to a customer in our group the other day, you can subscribe to all of those services that you want. The key is to open the email every day, or just go to Google Flights and look every day, because if there's one thing I can guarantee, it's that these prices will be completely different tomorrow. So if nothing on this list strikes your fancy right now, check back tomorrow. And don't worry about your calendar. Only worry about, like, if it works with your calendar when you see a deal worth jumping on. And that's different for everyone. Like, we can't do this for anyone, but we can find deals and tell you about them. So those are 3 simple rules that completely changed the way I travel and allowed me to first travel more often on a single budget than I did married on a double income. And then with time, as I got better, travel more often with less money in business and first class. But I didn't get there overnight. I practiced with baby steps, and hopefully these are some good baby steps that you can implement yourself.
And don't forget too, some of these were a little pricey because again, we're looking at one of the most expensive times that people are traveling, and it was still really great deals. So,
Yeah.
try this on dates that aren't in a holiday zone, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. And there's something else I want to just show. We don't know who this is, but someone says, "Sweet, Phoenix and San Diego. I can fly cheap to those places." That's like next level stuff. That's
That's
called
right.
positioning. That's
Yes.
an intermediate strategy. We don't get a whole lot into that. We kind of do for the walk across the border trick, but positioning is a huge strategy for business and first class. And that in itself, like, we have multiple classes inside our paid program on positioning flights alone. Is it worth it to save a few bucks in economy? Probably not. Is it worth it to take a 2-hour flight to New York so that you can get a $5,000 round trip 10-hour flight to Eastern Europe for $500 worth of points? Hell yes.
I'm glad you brought
That's
that
the
up.
difference.
Yes, because when I said, okay, I don't live in any of those places, I didn't want to complicate it. But right now I just saw on Frontier I could fly down to Phoenix for $20.
Yep.
So to do that, to get that really right.
Yeah. So again, a lot of like what we don't go into in the lounge is because it's not necessary if you just want to travel a little more. It's not the stuff we teach in the lounge is for the sole purpose of traveling a lot more often with like a big family, or traveling in business and first class, or staying in $500,000, $2,000 a night hotels. That's what we teach in the lounge. And if you're perfectly fine flying to Europe in coach, that's what we teach here in the village, and that's easy. And the strategies that we teach in the lounge aren't necessary to just save some money. And you can take a free vacation every year with what we teach for free. The only reason you would need to join our paid program is if you want to do that in style. That does take more work. It does take more strategy. That is not worth going into if you just want to take an extra vacation and you're fine flying coach.
Yeah. Just if you want to be super fancy, and we
Yeah.
like that too. And you
Yeah.
can go back and forth. Sometimes you just want to take cheap little flight somewhere. Brooke had commented earlier too that she was able to book a trip for her family going to a smaller airport too, and really getting a good deal on it as well.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, Brooke, though, speaking of, she's I take my family first class, and it's not
Yep.
either or. That's why we're friends.
And those are things that you get to choose on a case by case basis. Do you
Yes.
have enough points?
Yes.
Are you flush on points? Are you tight on points? Same with cash. These are all decisions that you don't need to start considering until you're ready to start doing what it takes to fly in business or first class. And there are 2 ways to get in business or first class ahead of the other 100% of the population that wants those seats. I like to say this is like a huge game of musical chairs, except instead of like taking one seat away at a time, they take 90% of the seats away. Everyone wants those seats. Only 1% of them get them for points. That's it. Only 1% of people on the plane get the seats in business or first class for free on points. You can't snap your fingers and beat everyone else to those seats. So with that said, baby steps will get you there. We're glad to teach the basics for free. And if business in first class isn't your desire, don't worry about us trying to sell you our paid program, because you don't need it. We'll just help you get there. The beauty of this is once you get a taste, once you learn how to triple or quintuple the value of your points, that pays for our course. And either you continue on that path yourself, or you say, you know what? Everything they've taught works. It makes sense. Maybe then in a year, it would be worth doing our paid program. So that's the whole idea.
So in here at the bottom, so you can text your name and free coaching to 720-706-7999. We gave you a lot of information today, but if you'd like to at least chat about it and get the right direction, start planning it. You may not be ready right now, but we can also help you come up with a plan that can lead you up to what Joel was just saying, to the paid program.
So there we have it. Hopefully that was of value to you. Hopefully this might have been the kick in the shorts that some of you needed, that I went through 20 years ago, that I wish I learned 20 years ago. There's nothing in it for us to get you to spend on a Chase card instead of a Delta card, other than proving to you that, it will take you a lot farther. And for some of you, that will, get you enough more travel that you'll want to, join our paid program down the road.
Exactly. And I just popped this up here, but if you are just now tuning in, it's okay. As soon as we're done, you'll be able to watch this replay over and over and over again. I don't know about y'all, but I have to learn things several times. In this program, most definitely.
Mia, did you see how many comments we have? Should we wrap
I
off our
did,
last
and I actually have a number
card
pulled up. So give me a drum roll. I've already done the whole thing, but give me a drum roll anyway. All right. All right, number 304. We had quite a few comments. So Brooke will get in touch with you for the $100 travel savings card. Not to worry. She needs to count backwards on that too. And here is the phone number. Somebody just commented and said they want to have that phone number. So here you go. And any of the things that we mentioned today, you can even just text your name and say, you mentioned something about the slush fund. So text that to me, or just free coaching, 720-706-7999.
Okay.
All right. And we have the lounge events this week coming up. If you join the lounge, will be interesting, because we're going to be talking about the debacle known as Southwest in the last week and a half. Let me also give you a little pro tip. If you haven't learned from the last 2 weeks, definitely carry on, folks. Carry on, carry on, carry on. There you go. A lot of folks are just not even getting their luggage back. So anyway, that's it for today.
We did our giveaway. I saw a couple that I'd love to just address. Tie this up.
And I've got some comments that I pinned there too, if you want to take a look at those. So we're going a little long because you haven't seen us in a while. So
yeah. Well, and so, anyone who was on, feel free to hop off. Thanks for joining us. Yes. Anyone who asked a question, Mia highlighted a few of them, and I'll answer those now.
And I know a lot of them have been getting answered too in the comments as well. So it's a good comment.
So here's a good question. Can this work if you don't make a lot of money to travel with? It's not about how much money you make. It's really about leveraging the money that you spend. The less you spend, the more you want to focus on earning multipliers. Think really hard anytime you spend more than $50. Sometimes that can pick up 10 times that many points. Sometimes you might get an extra sign-up bonus or two a year. So the less you spend, the more you need to depend on earning multipliers. The more you spend, the less you have to worry about earning multipliers, but that doesn't mean you should be sloppy about redeeming them. Because as we hopefully demonstrated today, it's possible to get 5, 10, 20 times more out of your points. So the less you earn, the more important it is that you master the basics with as few valuable credit cards as possible. And in our opinion, that's Chase and AMEX. That's it. Chase Sapphire or AMEX Green, Gold, or Platinum. That's it. Don't overthink it. Just get one of those cards, start learning how to earn a lot more points, and it doesn't matter how little you make. Anyone can do this. And typically the less you make, the less you're accustomed to spending on travel, the easier it is to take a trip for $650 like I did while going through a divorce.
Yeah.
All-inclusive cruise, round-trip flights, transportation, $650 all in. So anything is possible.
I love this comment. Brooke said we had a firefighter and a nurse travel to Bali, but if they can do it, you can do it too.
I think if I remember right, we have a case study. You can just search for Bali in our group. I believe they took an was it an $8,000 in flights for $800, and similar. They took about, I think all in it was a $15,000 vacation for about $1,500
Oh my
for
goodness.
flight and lodging. Here's one. So I have almost 9,500 Capital One points. It's the only card I'm able to get / keep at this time with my credit score. So first of all, good for you for knowing your credit score. 650 is kind of the magic number. If you go to jgoot.com and scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a free guide entitled How to Boost Your Credit Score. And within 2-3 months, you can boost your score 50 to 150 points. If you need more points than that, you should probably seek, a counselor who's going to dive a little deeper. But there are some pretty easy tricks that you can do to boost your score 50 to 150 points in that free guide. And again, big thing is don't, always responsibly spend. Even though it's a credit card, treat it as a debit card. In other words, don't spend money that you can't pay off when that statement comes due. So yeah, very good question. If your score is hurting, if you're not spending a ton of money, just keep focusing on the basics we teach for free. You'll get there. And of course, Anthony, one of our excellent free coaches, said exactly that same thing. So sorry for being redundant, Anthony. Just starting out, not sure how to use points, never used them before. Go to jgoot.com, go to the free resources, start with the free guide. If you want to travel the JGoot way, the beauty of traveling the JGoot way is we remove all of the complexity of what card should I get. You should get a Chase Sapphire card if you don't have one. If you already have that and you're getting several $1,000s worth of free travel out of that card, move on to the AMEX. If you're not getting several $1,000s worth of free travel, keep watching those guides, because everything we teach shows you how to earn more points with a Chase or an AMEX card and how to redeem more for those points with either a Chase or an AMEX. Don't chase any other shiny objects. They will only distract you from two of the most valuable cards out there. That's our opinion. That's not the only way. It's just what we've taught thousands of members to use with a simple set of rules that I just showed you today.
Excellent.
Someone reinforcing had Amex for years and spent them on Amazon. That's fine. If you still, you can always start over. The biggest thing we do is learn from our mistakes and don't repeat them. And we've all done it.
We have. Absolutely. Don't beat yourself up too much. Just keep moving forward. Just don't do it again. Right. Or try and limit the number of times. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, this is a great comment.
Yeah. Thank you. These are some great ones you're teeing up. Thank you, Mia. Yeah. Diana started using her Chase card instead of her debit card. 1 month, she earned 30,000 points and she did not spend $30,000.
Yeah. That's
earning multipliers 101. And yeah, if you haven't seen our earning multiplier training, and if you have a Chase card and if you have an Amex card and you're not completely wowed by it, you probably need to figure out how to earn more points so that you get more wowed. So text that to us, we'll send it off.
And we've got that info right here at the bottom.
Learning.
Go ahead.
When looking up flights, how can you tell how many points a flight will be? Now, this is why we recommend starting with Chase, learning with Hyatt, getting comfortable with the transfer process, because that's pretty straightforward. Every airline is different in terms of how many points it will be. We cover that in our redemption multiplier video, and we go over we do a demo of a Ward Mapper and a Ward Hacker, and those are some tools that give you rough guidelines of figuring out where your points will go the farthest. But the big thing is, that's a learning curve. Every airline is different. Every airline, some have fixed values that float with the cost of the flight. Southwest is a lot like that. Southwest points aren't all that great, except for specific circumstances. Other airlines, points are completely independent of price. So a flight could be nearly sold out and the price could be sky high, but the flight price is 25,000 points or 40,000 points. And those are those sweet spots where you find $4,000 or $5,000 flights for $400 or $500 in taxes. We helped someone find flights to Thailand over Christmas that were $4,000 for coach. They were like $10,000 and $12,000 for business class. We did not get her in business class, but we found $4,000 round trip flights to Thailand for like $180 in taxes, and not anywhere near $4,000 worth of points. It was 60,000. It was $1,200 worth of points, which is a pretty damn good deal for Thailand over Christmas break.
And don't clarify that too. That taxes piece, that is with points. There is a possibility for taxes. So that's what Joel was just mentioning. Yeah.
And those are all things that you want to keep in mind when redeeming. Sometimes the taxes might make it not worth redeeming your points, and that's a math equation that, again, the more you get into those advanced international travel partners, the more of a variable that is. That's why we don't really get into it. Once you get started with some easy basic redemptions, transfer to United, transfer to Southwest, transfer to Hyatt, pretty easy stuff. Pretty easy to figure out the value. Jay Gooders, how do you keep track of the deals you're getting? A feel for regular prices, just trying to remember what regular prices are. So there's regular prices and there are Jay Good prices. So if you haven't seen it, it's the two principles video. We go over those two rules. And a lot of it is just getting to know the inventory in your area. So if you're from the Bay Area, search for deals from your Bay Area. That way you're not getting accustomed to market prices. You're getting accustomed to what the best deals are. And just by looking every day from your 3 airports in the Bay Area, you'll get accustomed to, you'll get a feel for the areas you like to keep an eye on, and you'll just know innately. If you don't know innately, well, then there's the $120 rule, and there's also the penny per point rule, which we talked about today. Those 3 things combined will give you a better feel for the market than 90% of the population out there. And those are going to be how you're going to find those deals that no one else can find, because you're looking every day. Good well, that wraps it up. Thanks for those of you who stuck around for the extra stuff.
And again, as soon as we're done here, you'll be able to watch the replay. And I really highly encourage you, as you do that, you'll see these comments. Go through the comments here in the Facebook group, because our experts have been here as well. If we didn't get to those comments or questions, a lot of them have been answered in that too. All right.
Yeah. Thanks, coaches. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yes.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Say it, Joel.
Happy travels.
There you go.